Carol here. A warm welcome once again to my craft room. We'll be using two of the LDRS Creative dies and stamps, and the one I'm going to be concentrating on right now is the From the Lighthouse 2 die set, like number 2 pieces in that die set, and the mermaid set. But first I want to pick out some colors. So I went to my chart of the colors. Now there's much more hybrid inks. These are the ones that I own that were sent to me right here. So I made some swatches, gave me opportunity to practice my brush lettering. And then I found this lip stamp, which was awesome, and it's an LDRS Creative, one of the videos. I'm going to try to remember that in my blog, because it is a nice stamp set. I remember I just made this little booklet, and here we go. I'm going to get all set up, and later on, even though I'm showing you this 100 miles an hour, I do post right here in the video all the colors that I do use. Once again, it's a wonderful Slimline card that we're going to use, and the focal image will be the From the Lighthouse die set. And I want to just show you my go-to if I make like a mid-evening scene of the sky and an ocean meeting together. And then a lighthouse that sends out light, you know, alerts the ships, alerts anybody coming by. It's just my rendition here. And the funny thing is, well, first I had to get a cloud stamp, but I ended up stamping it on the underlying two-piece. Excuse me, yeah, that's good. I love when he visits, don't you? So I'm getting some of my brushes. These are from the dollar store where nothing's $1. And we're going to start here. But you know, I have to say, this is the wrong sheet. This is the one that's going to be at the bottom of the scallop piece right there of this. I think it's 15 pieces in this Slimline set. It's fantastic. And I start doing this. Then I realize, wait a minute, Carol, that's not the piece. And if I put that other piece over top of that piece, you're not going to see anything but a few little bumps there that show the white. And so I was not able to use it now, but I will use it on another sheet of cardstock in another project. Now, I have a fan going to my left-hand side. Even though I have central air, I have this fan going at my feet there. So if you see, if I'm holding something and the object starts moving, it's not because I'm shaking, it's because my fan is blowing 1 billion miles an hour, so my feet can stay cool. Keep me cool while I'm creating. So I like to have a fiber cloth beside me, so when I clean off, you know, whatever stencil I'm using, and in this case, if I'm sticking to the same color family, well, I don't have to clean it right away. It'll just, you know, except for if I'm going to light, because you don't want to have dark on there if you're concentrating on having, you know, light ink. And like I said before, hybrid inks, fabulous inks for blending, just fabulous. And you have the waiting time you need if you want to emboss, and use embossing powder. So now I've switched over, and of course I'm eating a quick tuna sandwich. I'm so sorry, but it's in. I would have had to eliminate this whole process right here if I wanted to take my sandwich out, but we all know I create and eat at the same time. It's an art. It truly is, to be able to eat and craft all at the same time. Now, let's move on. The one thing that I added the yellow and the exact colors, the Bally blue. It's not, I don't know if it's necessarily in there. I think it is in the right order. The dark wash jeans. This is the most beautiful hybrid navy ink you're going to get. The Kiss Me Red, beautiful. But this Scarlet Rose blends itself together, these two reds. Fantastical. And then we move on to the other blue. I missed it, the Lantern Yellow and the Four Leaf Green. And these are all the colors that I work for me Now, because I want this towards the evening, I'm going to put a cloud in there that I had forgotten. I wanted to put, or excuse me, the moon. I wanted to put a moon in that bigger cloud to the left side, and I forgot. I wanted to put a mask, and I didn't. So I had to just wait it out. When it came to my brain, I went with it. And see how behind the clouds I add that navy, that pinch of navy. But then at the top, I add the yellow because it's going towards nighttime, the evening, and I want the light to be at the top because in the evening you're going to lose that brightness, and then you're going to gain that darkness that's behind the bottom level of the clouds. And you can see that next I have to put a brighter blue at the bottom when I start to do the ocean scene, the lake scene, whatever year. In my case, it would be Lake Erie. And I wanted to have dark transition down to light. And I don't have a lot of room to do this on here, but I looked at the colors that were above, and then I just mirrored them. And it gave me a wonderful look. As you can see, I'm using the lantern yellow, gorgeous yellow. And I am going to fit it in here. I'm going to get that navy, that dark navy jean color. I'm going to incorporate it in there, offset to the ones in the clouds. Then I'm going to go back because at the bottom, even though you're not going to see much of this, my friends, you're not. I have that lighthouse image that I die cut, so I know it is going to hide some pieces. But do you see the piece that I'm working on, that I'm using as a stencil that I die cut from the actual die for a stencil? That is going to be one of my pieces, and that's the beauty of doing it this way, using it as a stencil so that you get the exact colors as you're transitioning from the top of that page to the bottom. So I managed to mask in the moon there. I just cut a little piece out of a circle. And then I don't want to lose what lake scene I have on there by putting too much of the actual dark piece that I was producing as I was using that 140-pound cardstock as my mask sheet. You know, the one you're seeing on each side. So I didn't want to eliminate the work that I did. So I thought I'm going to put these colors down. And I really did get my inspiration right off the back of the package. That's the beauty of LDRS Creative. You get it all colored in if you need some inspiration. And here, what I did, because on this piece right here, and you can see, I want to show you something. You can add that one die that's the waves right and transition it right off into the other die. They're two separate dies, but yet they're transitioning, and you don't know that this isn't all one die with the water to the left and the land to the right. So then I thought, you know what? I want to raise up the red pieces on the lighthouse. I love anything that has to do with the lighthouse for many reasons. And so I set these pieces aside, and guess what? I got up in the morning to finish this card, and those two lighthouse pieces were gone. The die cuts, I couldn't find them anywhere, and that will drive you totally crazy. But first, before I go crazy, I want to show you that I got some dark navy cardstock. That will bring this beautiful image to pop right off the page. And then I have this the color of mustard seed. Love it. And it brings out that lantern yellow like crazy. So it's going to be the white, the yellow, the image, the focal image, the navy, and we're going to just have a blast creating this. So what I need to do is have a nice edge. I don't want too much color, but I want enough so that you can see it. So I lay my cardstock over top of the cardstock I want behind it, and I start trimming up. Sometimes I have to trim a little extra because the paper slid a little bit, but that's okay. I end up doing it with this, and it looks great. Can you see how much I put on there? Just a tad, just a tad. Now, my friends, this was going to be a quick, easy, peasy, what did they call them? Like a quick and easy card. Just clean and simple, that's it. And I got the clean right. I didn't make a mess, but it's not necessarily that simple. It's not hard. I want to make sure that I emphasize that. It isn't hard to do this scene, as beautiful as it looks. It's just a little time consuming, and I wanted to have some 3D elements in this card. So I had to take it from clean and simple to clean and a little bit added effort. That's what I'll say. Just a little bit of added effort. Here I did a close-up of the yellow, the white, the navy, and the scallop. I didn't want to put any pearls or anything that would take away from that navy scallop. I took my Xyron runner here, and I didn't put any glue. I didn't want anything buckling, although the piece that has the clouds on it is my 140-pound white cardstock. So I wouldn't get much of a buckle even if I did put glue over top, which I usually do. But in this case, I guess I was moving along, and you know, it's been a few days since I completed this, and it doesn't have any warping whatsoever. I love the stitched edges, and the actual folded layer, I did put like I always do, when I put it on my Martha Stewart scoreboard, in the middle of the fold, I put an extra line so that you had a gusset, just a small gusset, because I was going to layer the inside, and you're not going to believe this. This is a one-sided card. Let's say it together. Carol did a one-sided card only, because I thought I am not going to put any type of sentiment that, oh, there's that honk and roll I got at Stamplicity. I love this stuff. It's not super thick. It's half the size as the Scotch roll, but I'm going to tell you, it is super duper sticky. It is the stickiest double-sided tape with a little raised edging on it that blows my mind, because if I do want to raise it up to be the same height as the Scotch tape, I can do it, and it will never release itself. It's that sticky. You don't want to get your hands on there, because you'll be you'll just be struggling to keep the stickiness off, and then you touch something and you've got the whole process. I don't have to tell you. If you're watching this, you're creating cards, and you know what happens when you do certain things. So here we go. Okay, let's get this focal image down. You have what's going to go over top is very important. I did not want the lighthouse to stick up farther than the actual card base, right? So I am going through some of the things here. I'm looking for actually something. Obviously, I don't know why I kept this in the edit. I was looking for a little piece that I had colored. That's what it was, that I had colored. And I thought maybe it got stuck in between the actual packaging of what I was using, because remember in my haul video, I got those beautiful organizers that go to the side of my island and clip on. If you haven't seen that video, I'll leave it at the end. It is, I would say, just as much as a wanted piece for your craft room as the vacuum. So yeah, so now we know that these cards are going to be in addition to in case you lost sight of what this whole process is with the LDRS Creative Release, I am doing a cookbook. Not just a cookbook, it's going to be just for fish. It's going to be all kind, scallops and different type of soups and all this thing, recipes you want to put in it. But I also wanted to separate it with different cards that actually ran with the theme that Angie created when she created this release. It's beautiful. So, oh, there goes my vacuum. Yep, be careful of your rings. It'll suck your rings right off your fingers. I love it. And my friend Tina bought one after seeing how well that she saw that it really did suck up everything off of my work surface. And she bought one and she said she's crazy about it. Crazy about it. She just couldn't believe that a little vacuum, and the fact that that vacuum goes on and plugs into a computer, not batteries. That's huge for me. I don't like to have to, get to a point and you have to replace a battery and you don't have them. So enough said about that. Let's start to create. Now you can see when I this is gravel. This is decorative gravel. And I have had it in my stash, 2 bottles of this stuff forever. And I have used it in many videos. So first I need to create the fence. Now the fence does have a cut into it intentionally when you die cut it. It is cut off separately, yet joined together with the image. So I wanted to put double-sided tape behind there and push it together so that the fence has a bow in it, so it looks like it's not flat. So I took my grays, and I think I have it in the video. I think it's the Cool family, but I'm not sure if I use the C family or the W family. It doesn't matter. You just want to lighten the dark of any medium to bring out the white, because white is not white. It does have different hues in it. And I like to use either very, very light, the triple, quadruple, zeros in blue, or gray, either one. Now I'm trying to figure out, after I cut that masking piece I was using, I wanted to figure out how I'm going to use it, because I want it raised up, but yet I want to see the lake water that I created in the actual base of this. So to achieve all of these looks and get the lighthouse so it's not above the card base and it's not too far below the card base, I'm going to have to cut quite a bit off and stay away from the gate. You don't want to have that gate separate itself for any reason. It takes away from what I'm going to do. So now I'm going to move back, my friends. I'm going to do all the edges. I always like my white edges complete, except for in this image. I wanted this image to stay white. And look is that not one beautiful die? It really is. And all the windows and all the doors open. And in the image that I was looking at on the back page of the actual stamp and die, the same inspiration is on both. The windows open, and they had deep navy colored windows and doors. So to achieve that, I went to a dark gray and that navy, that dark jean, and you have to do the back. Just scribble it all in the back. Nobody's going to see it where the doors open up, and then you need to be careful if you're using Copics that it doesn't bleed, because navy is just like red. It has a tendency to want to bleed. So, be very careful. And then I'm going to put my pieces parts on with just glue. I didn't really want it raised up, so it looked like it was falling off. I just wanted it to have this beautiful deepened look to it. So I'm putting my pieces parts back. I did leave the colors, I'm pretty sure, somewhere in the tutorial. If not, if I don't see it, I will be reminded to put the reds. I have flesh colors that I like, but you know me, I change up on everything. I don't like to use the same thing all the time. It's boring and it doesn't teach me anything. It just teaches me to go to 3 markers all the time and not to extend, my creativity to think up some things on my own. So I grab for different things to see how they look, and I think you'd really enjoy to do that too. So here I'm adding some of my C family. I believe this is the C1. I can see it. And get it? I can see it. Yeah. This is, it's about 11:15 in the morning, and I'm just getting to the voiceover this morning. I got to go to the hairdresser. Woo! Yesterday, boy, was I a happy camper. She puts about 100 foils in my hair, and I'm not kidding when I say that. Maybe 120 foils go through my hair. And then I got a nice cut, and I feel like $1,000 when that's done. Wow, I waited a long time, you know. The only roots I like is to dig up roots when it's in your garden. That's about it. I don't like them on my head. So here, these markers I got at my stationery store, and I will just leave, Staedtler just came to me. They're Staedtler micro markers, and they have a point on them like crazy. So I wanted to do the, let's see, the roof, of course. I want to do the roof, and I wanted it to be skinny. But I ended up darkening it a little much, and then I got my Signo white pen to add some, I need to use it in the waves to get that frothy, foamy look in my waves, and I like to use it in my actual image. It just, gives it that little bit of 3D look. And here I took a darker marker than I wanted to. So what I'll do is I'll grab the Copic, nice bright red, and I will go right here, yes. And I'll thicken it up just a little more so that it has the same color in the other roof pieces. Here is the 3 fan, E31, E35, E37 I used because this is a nice combo for flesh, for faces, hands, legs, and such. That's a nice little combo to use. And it's also a good combo for earth if you're going to have to do anything with the earth. I love the E family, and the 3-1, the lightest to 3-5 to 3-7 is perfect. You have your light, mid, and dark tones. So here we go. I'm going to put that down, but remember, I'm going to use the decorative gravel over this. So I do need to have this base underneath. It's not all going to stick, and I'm going to stick it with not glossy accents, but I'm going to stick it with the 3D crystal lacquer. Same thing. It's just a little bit more liquid than the Versamark. I'm sorry, than the liquid gluey stuff. Yeah. When I can't think of it, that's what I say. I haven't used it for so long. It'll come to me just a second. Glossy accents. There you go. I shut it down right there, and I just sat there thinking because I don't have any right in front of me, but it's glossy accents. And it's nice because it's thick enough to grab this gravel. Yes, decorative gravel. And that's why I say it can't be, this isn't a clean and simple, but it is simply clean looking, and it was just a wonderful piece to put together. Didn't take a lot of time. I worked at it for a few days, just a little bit here, a little bit there, a little here, a little there. That's how you win the race. And I so loved this image. Now I needed to think, okay, I have a lot of paper covering this, so I have to be a little bit creative. I need to move that down so that my lighthouse is touching the top of the yellow piece of paper there. And I need to push it together a bit so that my gate is rounded. I wanted that rounded effect. And I also wanted the water to be in 3 levels. The bottom level, which is the one I created on the paper. Oop, there goes my vacuum. And the water that I cut off that I wanted as my second layer, and then I wanted to have a 3rd layer. So you have to think it out when you're putting your double-sided tape, just so that the right pieces lift on the right pieces of the paper, right? I had to lift one of them up and redo it because it just wasn't pushed over enough. So, but you can do that and lift it if you have, if you use some liquid glue and you have that time to lift it up and do, right there. I needed to pull it down, and I'm just holding it so that the liquid glue would work. And then you can see on the right-hand bottom corner there how unkept it looks. And I had some thinking to do here. Here's my Signal white pen. I want to add some froth to the water. And I wanted to add 5 little birds going across the clouds. I think that looks so cute. It's just the letter M. That's all that is. Nothing spectacular. And I did the trees in the leaf green, and I went and grabbed a darker green and dotted the little bushes there, the green bushes, so it was a little darker than the actual green in the back of the waves. And you can see how the gate, this cute little gate, is pushed out and around it. In real person, my friends, this is a gorgeous card. Now, you have to remember, when you have doors and windows, you can't leave them blank, because that would mean that the back of this mortared brick or whatever lighthouse had no back to it. You have to ground it with something on the back, whether it be something dark or something white, you know, like the actual, you know, it goes around, and it probably is darker gray on the other side, you know, behind the windows, than it would be white, because it's the inside of the lighthouse. But I chose to take this paper that was, I use it for brush when I used to do calligraphy, and it has that, I can't remember what the name, has kind of lines through it, and it is a different yellow. It's a brighter yellow, a dull bright, than the clouds there that you're looking at. So I die cut the lighthouse with that paper. You're going to see me do that. And then for some fun, I wanted the mermaid tail to be sticking up out of the water to draw the attention to the right-hand side, so that the bulk of the card was not heavy, on the left. I just wanted to even out the picture, so to speak. And I'm going to do that by putting just the tail tucked down in. We're going to cut that wave off. I have a ton of layers there, so my cutting knife is only going to go through one of them. See how that paper is, oh my, I have to think of what that is. But it'll come to me. I always say that, and it always comes back. I put the die on top of this. It's not a thick paper, because it's thick enough to do your brush lettering or calligraphy on, your final pieces. And I'm going to die cut this. Then I'm going to cut it thinner. I'm going to come in a little bit. I don't want this hanging out, right? There's the tail that I'm going to have on my mermaid. And when I cut the pieces, I want it to look like the sun was going down on the inside of the lighthouse. A lighthouse sends out light. A lighthouse is, oh, there's just so many things that the lighthouse represents. I just love the song, the hymn. It goes, there's a lighthouse out on the hillside that overlooks life's sea, and it sends out a light, kind of like that all men can see. It's just a beautiful hymn. It's just a beautiful hymn. That's not the way it goes at the end. I'd have to start singing it, then the words would come back. But I don't think you're ready for that right now. So here we go. And when I die cut this, I had to put the teensy pieces back, because I have to put tape on the back to hold it, because those pieces, those teensy little die cuts, is what I need to protrude out the windows and the doors that, you know, that's inside my lighthouse and inside my cabin there, the lighthouse keeper's cabin. And we have friends that take care of the lighthouse here on Lake Erie, and they open the gates and that to people that come in to look at the lighthouse, and they have a lighthouse cabin that they stay in, right like this. That's what reminded me of this picture, right on Lake Erie. So here I've got all the pieces, and every time I move it, the little pieces fall out, and then I got to look for them and hope that I didn't vacuum them up too quickly. So quickly put that in there, Carol, and then grab that tape, and you want to tape everything on the back. Then when you cover this to go on the back, cut it in a little bit so it doesn't overhang behind your lighthouse. And it will be beauteous. You are going to love it. You're going to take a pair of tweezers. I'm just going to set my little mermaid tail over. You got to cut it out. More than that, it'll go to a point. But I'll show you that when we start creating the mermaid itself. So I am going to put the paper, this yellow paper. The paper, I just went and found out, is parchment paper, of course. So you have the tape, all the little pieces, parts taped on the back. Then you're going to cut around the image to go behind your lighthouse. Here's the purples I'm going to use. Just pick out some light to dark shades in your purple markers or coloring pencils, whatever it is you're going to use. Here I am just going to create some dark to light in this image, but then I'm going to use the Signal pen. So much of it will be covered because I'm going to put the scales, so to speak. Now they're in this release. There is a scaled, I always want to say embossing folder in your, I'm testing out my Signal broad tip. I always like to say that it's your stencil. That's it, stencil. So on the back, I want to raise this up. I want to cut into the waves and slide her down. And you can see how I made it more of a point on the bottom of this image. And that's what's going to slide into the paper to look like it's waving to you. And the reason why is I'm going to use the bottom portion of the right-hand side for my sentiment. I'm going to have it, the only black I think that I put on here will be where it says waving. I think it says waving a hello, but I have to, or waving hello. And I thought that was just perfect with that mermaid tail waving out of the water, just like that. And the purple offset the blues, the greens, and the yellow perfectly. The navy, I just loved it. You didn't have to cut too much into it, but you do want to cut into the waves enough that it has the same distance across as what you're using. Then I didn't like the way I had put the dye on there. I put it on a little offset, so I had more yellow than I wanted, white. So I cut that off. We're going to slide that in there after I take the backing off. And then at the bottom there where I put my 3 layers of waves, I'm going to put that sentiment using a punch. And it's a little long oval punch. And it says, I think it says waving hello. That's why I put the hello when I was testing out my Signal pen. Now I want to brighten it up because I am going to put the 3D lacquer on it when I'm finished, so that when I go to bed, all of this was going to be drying. So I didn't do it right now, but isn't that cute? It's so cute. You've got the birds in the upper corner. You have the moon shining on the left side. You have the yellow from behind your beautiful house, you know. It reminds me of, I'm trying to think of Shirkston Beach here, where we have the lighthouse out in the lake. It's beautiful. They had to restore our lighthouse. You should look it up. Shirkston Shores Lake House. If I think of it, I will put it on my blog. It's beautiful. And you know what? I forgot to turn my fan off for most of this tutorial. I am so sorry if you hear that in the background. I'm going to check it out once I'm finished. If it's too annoying, I'll take it off and I'll redo this voiceover. But hopefully it won't be that bad. I just shut it off. I couldn't believe. I always have things so quiet. So there you have it. Look at that. Is that cute? But you can see I have to cover that the right hand lower corner, right? So I put some baby powder on my black cardstock that I was using just to keep everything off my mat. I'm going to use the beautiful watermark. It's like a Versamark. It's just clear. Yes, waving hello. And the font is so cute. Everything about it is just cute. Going to put white embossing powder. You know, this white embossing powder, I add embossing powder years ago when I used to buy it, when I didn't know what detail embossing powder was. The very fine grit to it. So this has thick and fine mixed together. So that's why I get this look when you see it. When I heat set it, you get a different look because some of the details stuck to it and some of the non-detailed white powder stuck to it, so it's an altogether different look, but you can still read it. It says waving hello. It's kind of like a stone look. I just loved it. It looked like gravel, you know, from the gravel onto the landmark here underneath the lighthouse to this gravelly look saying hello, waving hello, excuse me. I used my honk and roll of tape. I want to raise it up, but not too much. So I end up putting that down to cover this portion. I only put that tape on the right side. The left side is going to be up onto one of the waves, so that you know, just be mindful if you're doing something like that to raise it up only where it's needed. And then we're gonna move right along. I think that's so pretty. And what I decided to do on the inside was just replicate everything that I have on the front here as far as layers. So, I ended up using Nuvo glue, Nuvo to make the shine here. It was thicker. It was right by me, and I hadn't used it for a while. So I thought, no, I'm going to use the Nuvo liquid there to add that wet look. And yeah, and it's kind of, I don't know, it just has a different texture, and I like it. It's not going to ooze out anywhere, you know. It's just going to stay in that spot. I really did like it. And I feel so bad about my fan. I can't believe I kept that on through the whole crazy edit. I really hope it doesn't bother you. It seems so quiet now. That's why I thought of it. Like, I looked over and I thought, oh no, I had this crazy fan on. So now I'm taking my dental pick. That's what I'm calling it. It does have its own name. Remember, I bought this set online, and I love it. I can get into all those detailed places that just a pokey tool can't get into. And here I'm going to add it to the moon, and I didn't add it to the birds. I just add a little bit to the water in certain spots, a little bit on the land, a little bit on the tops of the fences. I don't know if I kept it in because, you know, the water would end up splashing onto that. And I just envisioned these things as I was creating. What would it look like if I was standing there, you know, viewing it? And yeah, I don't know why. I just take a fancy to this card, and I'm so thankful that I have these sets. I'm going to move on. I have 3 more cards. I have one almost completed. I'm going to finish up today. I'll get that out for you tomorrow. And there we go. I'm just going to do the inside of the card now with my 1/2-inch double-sided tape I got on my haul. This stuff you really don't need to add any. Suquang tape. Oh, there it is. That's my next project. What are you doing, Carol? Get that out of the way. Yeah, that's just like a peek. That kitchen set. Oh, I love that. Reminds me of an Elmira wood stove. There it is again. Oh, stop, Carol. I did that with the Brush Marker Pro set. I did it with watercolor. Really pretty. I just have to do a kitchen scene, so I decided to do this card first while I was thinking up ways of doing that on the next card. So here we go. Turn that over, and we're going to put it together, and that's going to be the inside of our card, and we're winding down. I thought I could make this into a 20-minute tutorial. Isn't that hysterical? I was saying to somebody, no, I think I'm going to have it clean and simple, and it's only going to be about 15 minutes, 20 at the max. Oh, I had to take that off. It was crooked. And so I thought, no, I'm not wrecking it. I'm just going to get my trimmer, and I'm going to trim off the crookedness. Oh, yes. Just tilt it a little bit. And I love this Fiskars one because it has the wire, and you can see exact where you need to cut just by the wire in the back. So here we go. Let's see how we are coming along. Yes, there, that's going to seat down. And then I have to grab the navy sheet, and it's going to, this one too I had a bit crooked. My eyes must have been crossed while I was doing this. Who knows, right? Who knows? And at least I didn't show you eating my breakfast this morning. Oh, I couldn't. I was doing the edit voiceover. What am I thinking? yeah, I had a good breakfast. I made over medium fried egg and pea Canadian bacon, and Italian bread toasted with strawberry preserves. It was so good this morning, yes. So I'm ready to just create and craft and voiceover and everything. I'm fed up with wonderful supply of food and full of energy. My hair's done. Oh, I mean, men don't understand it, do they? As I'm doing this, they don't understand the hair thing to a woman. It's like my husband said, you were there for 3.5 hours? Wow, 3.5 hours it took to do that. I don't know what he meant by that. And yeah. I said, yeah, that generally it takes like 4. But she was able to do it in 3.5. Yep. And then, you know, you get the old massage head thing. Oh, it's just wonderful. It's a wonderful experience. So here we go. We've got the card base opened up. We have the yellow, the white. Now it will be the navy. And then the white. And somebody can write a letter to somebody on the inside of this. They can do whatever they want. Forgot to mention it's an exceptionally hot, hot day here in Ontario. Really hot. The sun is shining. It's beautiful. I thank you, everybody that stops by, leaves me a comment. For my new subscribers, those that subscribe, I appreciate you very much. Thank you to LDRS Creative for the opportunity to create these wonderful products and design them and use them in my designs. So you take care. I'm going to see you in the next tutorial. Have a blessed week as always, and there you have it. Take care, everybody. Enjoy the pictures.